Hello, I'm Michael, owner of High Spots. And this is Jake, head editor, and basically the guy who does all the work for all the interviews that we put out here at High Spots. About a week and a half ago, we traveled to Manchester, England, and for the first time ever, met the Dynamite Kid. As fortunate as we were, we got to spend about 3 days with Dynamite Kid. We came away with a lot of great stories. We sat down with him for nearly 4 hours and talked about his entire career. I put more prep work into this interview than perhaps any other I'd ever done in my lifetime. But you know, even after 4 hours, I don't feel like if we just release what we call a shoot interview and we go reel to reel, that it really tells the full story of the Dynamite Kid.
Oh, I totally agree. I mean, it was an experience in itself. I mean, this was more prep work than what we did for Ric Flair, and you know, hearing all the stories and listening to shoot interviews and reading books and looking online and looking at YouTube clips and everything that we looked. And coming into this, it was an experience all itself, an experience that I wish we could take you all there and really get a grasp of what that was and let that sink into you. But the footage just doesn't capture the feelings and the thoughts of that, because this man's an enigma. I mean, he's probably the most interesting and unique individual. You know, they say that in wrestling you meet the best people and the worst people, and sometimes they're the same person. Well, from judging through our research, the Dynamite Kid is most certainly that, and just a regular shoot interview is not going to capture all facets to him as a character.
You know, when he was confined to a wheelchair, he was 39 years old, and I relate being 39 years old myself to think about when he was 39 that he had made millions of dollars in the wrestling business. He had traveled all over the world, and he'd come to terms with what he'd loved to do at his passion since he was a teenager. All that was over. You know, he wrote he had a ghostwriter write a book a few years ago called Pure Dynamite, and although it's a great read, 200 pages really doesn't capture, I think, everything that needs to be captured from the Dynamite Kid. For us to do this right, it's going to require a lot of work. It's going to require us to talk to a lot of people that came across him in the past, people that wrestled with him in Japan, people that started with him in Calgary, opponents and friends of his in the WWF or WWE now. They're still out there. There's lots of stories that haven't been uncovered. We'd like to hit them all. We went to Manchester, England. I'd like to go to Calgary and interview a few people that knew the Dynamite Kid of 19 years old. I'd like to possibly even go to Japan and interview Tiger Mask Sayama and talk about some of their great battles. We covered all those and we got the side from Dynamite Kid, but I think there's so much more to this project than what we've already started.
Well, I mean, as busy as we are, Michael, and we're willing to take these extra steps, but you know, a lot of times with what we do editing-wise and production-wise, we can't always give the top-level performance product that we need for this one. Sometimes we put together interviews and they're okay and they come out very well and professional, but as a video editor, I know I can take it a couple steps more, but I know I have 8 more projects to work on and they all have deadlines, so sometimes there's corners that I slightly cut as a video editor. Well, Dynamite Kid didn't cut any corners in the ring, and as a wrestler, I feel I at least owe that to him in the skill that I do of editing, that this should be top-notch, performance-wise, editing-wise, production-wise, and how we do this. And you know, to do that, those things cost money and they take time, and money costs time, and that's really what we're looking for here. We could do this. We could release, you know, a shoot interview and it's the Dynamite Kid and it's going to do okay, but it's not going to. I know deep down inside we can do better, and that's what we want to do. But like I said, those things cost money, and those things take time, and time costs money.
There were a few interviews we've done in the past where we look back after we were done, we said, man, you know, there was so much more to this story. You know, the 2 or 3 hours that we filmed really wasn't enough just hearing one side of it. This is one that we're probably not going to have an opportunity to do again. Going all the way to Manchester, he really didn't even want us there in the beginning. I think by the time we left, I think he appreciated our efforts, and certainly appreciated the amount of compensation we were able to give him. But there's a couple times that we've gone in the past where we just have not been able to follow through, and that's really because the wrestling business today is a very small market of of people that are interested in the types of things that we do. We realize that. But Dynamite Kid is such that rare guest that I think we had to stop and say, you know what, we're not just going to force feed this one and take the money next week and slap a cover on it, because we know it would sell. We know everybody's been wanting to meet Dynamite Kid. He's not a guy that's going to be able to travel over here to the United States. So this is our best way of bringing you the whole Dynamite Kid experience. And we came back with lots of autographs, signed action figures. Even behind us, you see the All World Japan League plaque that we've set as the top contributor to this Kickstarter campaign. We've tried to make it at all different levels. Starting under $30, you could actually get the interview, which is going to be a fully replicated disc and a really professional packaging, just like the type you'd buy at a store, just like what we did with the Ric Flair project. There's going to be no corners cut whatsoever. And for those of you that can contribute even more than the minimum, we have things like this book added to the deal, some autographed photos, and just different stages of contributions to help make this possible. This isn't what we're going to end up doing with every interview we shoot in the future. I'm not saying we'll never do it again, but this is definitely the one that has inspired me most to take this to Kickstarter, and we appreciate your opportunity.